And hello one and all, and welcome to my Q&A follow-up video. In this video, I'm going to be answering your questions that you left in my Q&A video that I posted last Friday. So I just want to say first and foremost, thank you to all my subscribers that participated in this. Hopefully it's something that I can continue to do on the channel in the months to come. So without further ado, let's get into your questions. So the first question here comes from the RGD. He asks, what are your top 10 favorite matches of the year so far? Good question, and I'm going to name these in no particular order. I have the Fatal 4-Way match from Extreme Rules featuring The Miz defending his Intercontinental Championship versus Cesaro, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens. That was one of the best matches for the Intercontinental Championship that I can remember in a long time, so I got to throw that up there. The triple threat match between Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch. In my opinion, they had the best match at WrestleMania 32 for the Women's Championship. So really good match right there. Got to have Sasha versus Charlotte for the Women's Championship. Happened 2 weeks ago on Raw. Really, really good match. I'm also going to throw in there AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns at Payback. I thought that was a really, really good match. Probably the best match that Roman Reigns has had in his career so far. AJ brought out the best in him in that Extreme Rules match. That was really, really good stuff. I'm also going to throw in the 30-man Royal Rumble match. Good stuff all around with Sami Zayn debuting. You had Triple H making his return and winning the championship. Just had an overall solid, good Royal Rumble. It's something that we haven't seen in a couple years now, so I really thought WWE delivered when it came to that. I'm also going to throw in there Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens that just happened at Battleground. They had the best match on the card. Probably the best match that I've seen them have in WWE together. And this match I really, really liked when I saw it. It was Y2AJ versus The New Day on Raw. I remember watching that tag match and just saying this was a really damn good tag team match. I'm also going to throw in there the American Alpha versus the Revival from NXT TakeOver The End. I thought that was the best of the three matches that they had together. I always enjoyed seeing Revival versus Alpha fight, and they brought out the best in one another. I'm also going to throw in there Dean Ambrose versus Triple H at Roadblock. That was a really good match, and Dean came oh so close to winning the WWE Championship at that pay-per-view. And finally, Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. That might have to take the cake for me for match of the year, but we still have the rest of the year to play out. But those are my 10, count them, 10 matches that I'm picking so far for my match of the year, like I said, in no particular order. So there you go. The next several questions come from Devontae Stroter. Hope I pronounced that right. Strodinger. What inspired you to do YouTube? Really, it was seeing how people could come onto YouTube and express their thoughts and opinions about professional wrestling. Wanted to give a shout out to Delexman, watching his videos and see how he was able to grow as a YouTuber and use this platform to connect with people here as wrestling fans. That's really what inspired me, was to reach out, meet new people, and just to talk about my love and passion for professional wrestling, and, to just enjoy the dialogue and conversation that goes along with this community. So that's really what inspired me to make YouTube videos. He also asks, who are your top 10 least favorite wrestlers? Right now, if I had to pick my top 10 least favorite wrestlers, I'm assuming we're just going to go with WWE here. There's not too many that I dislike on the roster. But if I had to pick 10 that I didn't like, I don't even know if I can make it to 10, but we'll try. At this point, least favorite, I'd say Kane and the Big Show. I mean, I do like them for their overall careers, but right now, if you ask me right now, at this point, at their stage in their career, I just don't really care for them. Trying to think. Sheamus is just bland and boring to me. He really does nothing. When he comes out, it's just like, there's Sheamus. I mean, he's a good wrestler, but he just lacks that charisma that he desperately needs. Least favorite, because the rosters right now, I feel like they have there's a lot of good talent on the rosters. Trying to think who comes off the top of my head. The Shining Stars, they're really... Just make them 1. So that's 4 right there. They're just... There's nothing there. I mean, unless you bring back Carlito and pair them up with them to give them something. I mean, they're just... To me, there's just nothing there at all. I mean, they're just boring. Eva Marie. I have to throw her in there. So that's 5. I got you 5. So those are at least my 5 that I don't care for right there. He also asked, what is your thoughts on Roman Reigns being a heel, and do you think that WWE should turn him heel at SummerSlam? I've been saying for a long time now, I feel that Roman Reigns should turn heel. I just don't think they're going to do it now, especially with him going after Rusev, who is a heel at SummerSlam. I just don't think it's likely we will see him turn heel at SummerSlam. Do you play video games? If so, what? Yes, I do. I play a PS4 on PS4, and I also have a Wii U. My favorite games are Grand Theft Auto. I like Destiny, Mario, Zelda, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. Huge Nintendo fan, as you can tell, my Amiibo collection over there. Yeah, so big Nintendo fan and a fan of Sony. Also used to own an Xbox 360, but I sold that a couple years ago. What do you think of the Brie Bella and Nikki Bella feud that happened in 2014? Well, I thought that was a train wreck and one of the worst storylines that I've ever watched. It was just awful from start to finish. He also asked, do you think Randy Orton has a fighting chance against Brock Lesnar, and if so, why? Yes, I actually do. I think with the way they've been building up Orton and how they've been saying all it takes is Orton has to hit 1 or 2 RKOs, and that could potentially finish off Lesnar. Orton is, while not on the level of a Brock Lesnar, he is still a big star in that company, and who knows? He could walk out as the winner of SummerSlam, especially with Lesnar and his recent suspension from the UFC potentially happening with all that controversy, that clout. I could see them going in favor of an Orton win at SummerSlam. I'd be okay with it. So, yeah, I think Orton does have actually a fairly good shot at beating Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. He also asked, were you expecting to get 200 subs on YouTube? Yes, but not as fast as it happened. So, as I always say, it wouldn't be possible without you guys, my loyal subscribers, and I hope to continue to grow that fan base by just continuing to be myself and express my own thoughts and opinions in the best way possible, with the power of positivity, taking it from the New Day, and try and focus on the positives rather than the negatives, and, just, like I said, being myself. That's all I do. So, thank you to everyone who helped me to get to 200 subs here on YouTube. He also asks, what is your least favorite WrestleMania? My least favorite would probably be 27. I was actually somewhat looking forward to that show, but I really felt like there was only a couple decent matches on that show and one really good match in Taker and Triple H, the no-holds-barred match, so 27 would probably be my least favorite WrestleMania. If you could go back and change the outcomes of WrestleManias 31 and 32, what would it be? I would change it to Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan in the main event. You could still have Seth Rollins do the cash-in. I'm fine with that. And then I would have Roman Reigns challenge Rusev for the United States Championship like they're doing now. I would have built him up to be the challenger against Rusev and have Roman Reigns beat Rusev, end the streak, and become United States Champion and go on a tear with the U.S. title. And then 32, I would have had it have been in the main event. Seth Rollins versus Triple H. Seth is the babyface trying to overcome Triple H after Seth made his babyface turn against the Authority, and then you could have built towards that match and have Seth be able to regain his championship, minus the injury that happened, of course. That's how I'd change 31 and 32. He also asks, do you think JBL is cancerous to the SmackDown team? Yes. JBL sucks. Moving on. Do you think Eva Marie sucks and can't wrestle? I think she can wrestle. She's not the greatest. She obviously has to improve, and we'll find out if she ever makes her in-ring debut on SmackDown. I'm certainly interested to see how that goes. I think she's decent, not great by any leaps and bounds, but I have seen some improvement And you would think with Brian Kendrick training her, she would be able to improve. So she's going to make or break it when she eventually does step into that ring. So I think we'll find out how much she has improved or not improved. But I'm still not a big Eva Marie fan. Last 3 questions from Devontae. What is your favorite food? Favorite food is pizza. Color? Color is blue. Music? Favorite music is Led Zeppelin. Well, that's favorite band. Favorite music's rock and roll. Favorite TV show is currently Mr. Robot. If you don't watch Mr. Robot, check it out. USA Network at 10 on Wednesdays. He also asked, do you think Kurt Angle should return to WWE? Yes, I've been saying Kurt Angle, the Olympic gold medalist, should return to WWE for quite some time now. And finally, the last question from Devontae. He asks, have you ever thought about starting a gaming channel? No, not really. Like I said, it's just maintaining this channel is enough in and of itself, so I'm just going to stick to talking about pro wrestling here on my channel. This question comes from Shaquille Cole. If you were to create a WWE version of the Suicide Squad, who would be in that squad? That is a good question. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of comic books, but I do know about the Suicide Squad, and if I had, it's going to be tough to answer this question because, like I said, not a big comic book fan, but I'll give my best shot at it. Yeah, I'm not sure if I could actually, this is going to be tough. So I don't think I'm going to be able to answer that question. I'm just not that knowledgeable about the Suicide Squad, so sorry about that. Joe James asks 3 questions here. He asks, first, who is your favorite wrestler of all time? Favorite wrestlers of all time, preferably my top 10. Very good question. Top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time. Austin, Rock, Michaels, Taker, Hogan, Ric Flair. Gotta have Flair up there. Bret Hart. I'm going to put CM Punk up there. He's been my favorite. A little biased there, but I'm putting Punk up there. Let's see. There have been so many. It's really tough. It's a tough list to make. Kurt Angle, I'm putting Kurt up there. How can you not? Gotta throw love and support for my hometown boy. So we got Austin, Rock, Michaels, Taker, Hogan. I said Bret, Flair, Punk, Angle, and to round it out, I'll put Bruno Sammartino there. Bruno Sammartino. So that's my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time. My favorite WrestleMania matches of all time? I'll just list my favorite match. It was Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. That is my favorite WrestleMania match of all time. Finally, from Joe, he also asks, DC or Marvel, and why if you were into the superhero realm? I'm going to go with Marvel. Like I said, I don't read the comic books, but I do know, some of the backstories for, Iron Man, Spider-Man. I was a huge fan growing up with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, so more so the Avengers. I really like the Avengers. Captain America, I've been enjoying those series. So while I'm not a huge reader of the comic books per se, I do know some of the background information for superheroes, and if I had to pick, I'm going with Marvel all the way. Their films are really, really good. My friend Mike asks, who would you like to see main event WrestleMania 33? I'd like to see John Cena versus The Undertaker, if that would be Undertaker's final match. I think he has to close the show if it's Taker's final match, and what better opponent than a guy that hasn't faced in a very, very long time, I think since 2003. Cena versus Taker is a match we wanted to see for a long time now. Since we're not going to get Sting versus Taker, I think the best way for Undertaker to go out is against John Cena at WrestleMania 33. If it is indeed his last match, that would be my main event. Let's see. We got a couple more questions from Devontae. He asked, do you think SmackDown wasted a draft pick on Eva Marie? No, because she was already on the list of names, so it was obvious that she was going to be drafted to either Raw or SmackDown, so I'm not too disappointed with that. He also asked, do you think Triple H might be retiring from the ring? No, I think we'll see him wrestle occasionally at WrestleMania, maybe at a Royal Rumble or SummerSlam, the big shows of the year. I don't think we'll see him retire from the ring for a couple more years. We still got matches that I'd like to see from Triple H down the line. So, he asked, do you think Michael Cole and Byron Saxton should be replaced by different commentators? Yes, I'd love for Michael Cole and Byron Saxton to get out of there, and I'd love to see Mauro Ranallo and Corey Graves be the main commentary team on Monday Night Raw, but that's just not going to happen. So, he also asks, what is your favorite movie, I guess, of all time? The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight was amazing. When I saw it, hard to believe, 8 years ago. Heath Ledger, Christian Bale. My opinion, the greatest superhero movie ever made. I'm going with The Dark Knight. He also asks, what is your favorite TV show growing up? Home Improvement. I loved Home Improvement growing up. My favorite show from the 90s. So with Tim the Toolman Taylor, Al, you had Wilson across the street. It was just the classic epitome of the 90s all rolled up into one show. So I gotta show love to Home Improvement. Devontae also asks, what do you think about the Universal Championship name, and do you think WWE should have chosen a better name? I didn't like the name at first, but I think it will grow on me over time. We'll get used to it, and I'm more concerned about what the belt looks like rather than the name of it, so I'm okay with the name. And like that, he asks, what do you think the Universal Championship will look like? Hopefully something that is not just red and blue. Hopefully it's not just with the WWE title with the red background like it's been rumored. I want something different, something unique, something that stands out, and something that just doesn't look lazy. So it would be nice to see what it looks like, and we will find out in a couple of days at SummerSlam. He asks, do you think Sting deserves his second run with the WWE? Yeah, but Sting's retired due to his neck problems, so that's obviously not going to happen. He asks, do you think Big Show, Kane, and Mark Henry should retire? Yes, without a shadow of a doubt. And finally, he asks, what do you think of Braun Strowman so far? Do you think WWE should have left him with the Wyatt family? No, I actually like what they're doing with Braun Strowman. Like I said, I just listened to the interview he did with Stone Cold Steve Austin on Stone Cold's podcast. Very good stuff. Talks about his journey as a heavyweight lifter, how he got the call from WWE, and now how he's just told to go out there, beat the living hell out of people, and they're kind of gonna go in that direction with him. So I wasn't a big fan of Braun Strowman at first when there was rumored to be a big push behind him, but I really like what they're doing with him, having him go out there and just beat these jobber guys and then eventually work his way up. So I definitely am more willing to see the potential in Braun Strowman than I had been several months ago. So I'm okay with them splitting him up from the Wyatt family. We have some questions here from Max Pierre. He said, what would be your ideal WrestleMania 33 card? Meaning a good card that looks like something WWE could make. Guys like Styles, Ambrose, Reigns, Owens, Rollins, Wyatt, Charlotte, Banks, Lynch, Cena, Lesnar, and Orton can be the main event, since WWE thinks so highly of them. Big Show and Shaq are going to wrestle. Everyone else gets involved in some mid-card matches. Oh yeah, and the winners for those matches. It's a very good question. There's a lot of talent involved. Just going to throw a couple matches out. Like I said, Taker versus Cena. Obviously, I'd have Taker go over there. That would be Taker's last match. A retirement match for him. I do Kevin Owens versus Brock Lesnar, and I'd have Owens go over. I think that would be freaking awesome to see Owens and Lesnar in the ring together. Bray Wyatt versus Triple H. They did that stare down with the title, and just the way Wyatt was like, I want that, and that would be awesome. I'd love to see Styles versus Balor. That would be really, really good stuff. I'd love to see a fatal four-way between Charlotte, Banks, It's tough now with the brand split. I don't know how WrestleMania is going to work out this year if we'll have interpromotional matches. I'm sure we'll get a couple. But that's the tough thing now about making a card this early. So if they're going to have two separate, I would definitely want to see, it depends where Bayley goes, too. I would love to see Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the Women's Championship. That would be awesome. Looking at, throw a couple more matches out there for you. Yeah, it's just like there's a lot that can happen between now and WrestleMania. Those are just some of the matches that I'd like to see. So, on my WrestleMania 33 card. He also asks, the World Heavyweight Championship name, but other than the World Heavyweight Championship name, be original, and the brand it's on, what kind of name that correspond with the world title name would you name the new Raw belt? I would call it the WWE Global Promotional Championship, or maybe just the Intercontinental Championship, the world title, since Intercontinental does basically mean all continents. I'm assuming he's talking about the Universal Championship and how they named that the new Raw belt. I'm okay with the name that they gave it. Like I said, we'll have to see how it plays out. So, and his last question here from Max, he asks, how do you feel about Dean Ambrose holding the belt from Money in the Bank 2016 to Survivor Series 2017, meaning that he beats CM Punk's 434-day title reign? And if you would like it, how would you book him up until then? And who would you have him drop the belt to? You can choose from Raw and SmackDown. Very good question there. I don't see Ambrose holding the belt that long. I really don't. I'm surprised he's held it as long as he has. I do think, speaking in realistic terms, that there's a good possibility that he might feud with AJ Styles afterwards, and we could see him drop the belt to AJ. So that's my actual prediction. I think he will drop the championship to AJ Styles after SummerSlam. Sometime after SummerSlam. This next set of questions come from the CS19871. How come the WWE doesn't give AJ Lee credit for starting the Divas Revolution? Well, they really don't want to really mention AJ Lee that much. I mean, due to her ongoing relationship being married with CM Punk's and the way that she left the company. I mean, you could tell they obviously wanted Nikki Bella to become the longest reigning Divas champion for a reason. So, due to her relationship with Punk, the way that she left the company, I just think there's sour terms from both sides. He also asked, do you watch JD from NY206's videos? No, I do not. And last question from the CS19871. Who do you think would have won in a match between Shawn Michaels in his prime versus Finn Balor? I gotta go with Shawn all the way. Shawn was in my opinion, the greatest professional wrestler all around, technician in that ring, and in his prime, nobody came close to Shawn Michaels, so gotta go with HBK all the way. Classic Wrestling Commentaries asks, what is your favorite era of wrestling? Well, I can't say. It's sad. I've only watched since 2008, but I gotta go with the Attitude Era. I wish I was around to watch during that time. I know it's a cliched answer, but that really seemed to be the time to be a wrestling fan with the Monday Night Wars and the level of competition of both brands, both companies bringing out the best in one another. It's just now we don't really see that at all. So I got to go with the Monday Night Wars / Attitude Era period. Byron Wayne asks, why did you stop reviewing Lucha Underground? Well, Byron, it was too much to keep up with. We have NXT. Now I got to watch SmackDown, Raw, the Cruiserweight Classic. It was just too much to try and keep up with everything, especially with trying to apply to law school, finishing up graduating from college, just have a lot going on in my life, working as well. So I just figured, plus with not being able to watch on my TV, I don't have the El Rey network, it just makes it that much more difficult. So it was a number of factors. Maybe one day I can get back into watching Lucha Underground. I definitely like it, though. I definitely think it is the best professional wrestling TV show out there. So it was a really, really good stuff. And Byron also asks, do you think Rich Swann would do well on the SmackDown brand? Yes, I do. I really have become a big fan of Rich Swann. What I've seen him do in the Cruiserweight Classics, I would like to see him do fairly well in the Classic, and eventually, well, I'm assuming we'll eventually see him on Raw as part of the Cruiserweight division, but I think he would be a nice fit on the SmackDown brand. We got a couple more questions here. This one's from the Angry Mark. He asks, do you think a feud between Eva Marie and Bayley would be a great idea? Personally, I think it would. Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing it. Bayley, being the underdog, and Eva Marie kind of being the corporate chosen handpick woman that they want to see pushed to the top. I think it could definitely work. I'm not sure how the matches would turn out, but I would be interested in seeing it. Number 2, he asks, why do you think fans complained about Roman Reigns getting shoved down our throats, yet Finn Balor is getting a bigger push than him, but no one says anything? That is a good question. It is kind of that's a very good question. It is kind of funny, Balor. He comes right up to the main roster and is already entered into the SummerSlam main event against Seth Rollins. And with Reigns, I don't know. It's because he was, until he got that injury, he feuded with Orton at SummerSlam, and you didn't really hear too many boos. It was after he came back from the, the hernia? And then I think it had to do, the reason I kind of soured on Roman Reigns, if you want my own personal answer, is because of the god-awful scripted promos that they forced this guy to cut. They were just horrendous, with the faster than a speeding bullet and the magic beanstalk promo. They would have built this guy up as a serious, ass-kicking, no-holds-barred, he's just going to go out there, say as little as possible, get the job done, and beat the complete shit out of everyone. I think it was that awful booking that soured him in the eyes of many fans. And they haven't done that with Balor. And Balor, made his name on NXT, being the longest reigning NXT champion. So I think people were more receptive to that. They were anticipating his debut for a long time now. And then when he finally arrived, especially having him beat Roman Reigns, I think that, was more acceptable in the eyes of more fans. Like I said, I'm just trying to throw my opinion out there of, why people might, have, to answer your question here. It may not be the best answer, but hopefully that answers your question. And your third question here is, do you think indie fans are destroying pro wrestling? He thinks they are because they expect indie-type matches in the WWE when reality in-ring work will only get you so far. But I do understand that they want the wrestler they've supported since day one to do big things in WWE. Sometimes in reality, their favorite isn't just that good. No, I don't think they're destroying pro wrestling, like you said. What I think's hurting wrestling, just to the casuals, is I think there needs to be more selling in wrestling. I think we're going at a too fast, too high-paced, move for move. It's just like boom, 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 not enough selling, working over a body part, using more psychology, playing towards the crowd, slowing things down, as has been mentioned by guys such as Jim Ross and Stone Cold on their podcast. Going more back to the basics of pro wrestling, the fundamentals. I think the over-scripting of pro wrestling is hurting mainly WWE's product. They're not letting these guys go out on a limb and be themselves. So I really don't think it's the fans so much as more as the direction that the business itself has been going in the last several years. But that also contributes to, like I said, as you mentioned, the types of matches that we're seeing and the lack of selling. So that's how I'd answer that question. We have another question here from the CS19871. He asks, do you think Gallows and Anderson is going to help Finn Balor win the title at SummerSlam to somehow set up a Shield reunion to go against the Balor Club at maybe Survivor Series? That would be great to see if you do an interpromotional brand match, although with the brand split being in effect, I don't see how that would happen unless there's some type of agreement made. But Gallows and Anderson, I am predicting them to win the tag titles at SummerSlam. And that is a possibility. If they could join up with Balor and you create the Balor Club and create this heel faction group, I'd be all for that. Or we'll just have to wait and see. But that is an interesting scenario. Finally, I got some questions here from Robbie1 Kenobi. He asks, how does this title sound for a future NXT TakeOver event? NXT TakeOver Glorious. Well, that is certainly glorious indeed. And he also asks, Super Mario Kart or F-Zero, which game did you enjoy playing the most on the SNES and why? Gotta go with Mario Kart. Mario Kart is my favorite kart racer of all time. Just been a kart fan more so than an F-Zero fan. What are your top 5 favorite SNES games? This is a good question right here. Top 5 SNES games. Super Mario World. That game was so freaking amazing. You got to go with Super Metroid. You also got to go with The Legend of Zelda. Link to the Past. That's a very good game. Donkey Kong Country. I freaking love Donkey Kong Country. So you gotta throw that up there. Yoshi's Island. I really liked Yoshi's Island. That was a great platformer. Loved playing that game growing up. Robbie also asks, do you collect Funko Pop vinyl bobbleheads? No, I do not. His 5th question is, your thoughts on SmackDown possibly having their own women's championship? I'm all for it. I would have rather have had the women all on one show and you fight over one championship, or you have traveling champions for both the women's and tag titles, but seeing as how they're going to create it, I'm for it, even though in a way I'm kind of not, but they're going to, so we'll see how it goes. Whose Pele kick do you like better, Styles or Kota Ibushi's? Ibushi's. Ibushi's is just, the way he hits it, it is awesome to watch. And his last question here is, based on the success of the CWC, would you like to see WWE do an all-female tournament in the future? That would certainly be different if there's the talent out there and they want to showcase it. I don't see why not. I think it would be great content for the network. So yeah, I'd be all for it, Robbie. And there's one more question here from Francisco Rodriguez. He asks, do you think WWE will ever do a WrestleMania outside of America? Yes, I do. I think one day, even if it's a long time from now, we will see a WrestleMania probably in the United Kingdom. That's where I'd say, in the near future. Not immediately, but there's been hints here and there, and I think it would be something that the UK fans do deserve, and I'd like to see it happen. So yeah, that rounds out my Q&A. I hope I answered these questions to the best of my ability. I want to say thank you to all who participated, and thank you for all who watched this video. I will see you guys later on tonight for my top 15 SummerSlam matches video. We'll be joined by Robbie1 Kenobi, so that video should start sometime later on tonight around 9, so stay tuned for that. And thank you all for watching once again, and I will see you in my next video.